So the first project is basically looking at the significance of cultural artifacts, and it began with choosing snake wine because it is known to be a traditional delicacy or a traditional medicine in Vietnam, and it is adapted from the Chinese culture. This product is significant because I see it a lot while I'm walking around Vietnam and Ben Thanh Market, and it is a great tradition and it shows a lot of controversy in my culture. So I began by using pen and um, replicating the snake wine and adding chalk to it to create more dimension. And after that, I began to look at the cylinder shape of the snake's body and I began to look at scales. And by experimenting with watercolors and trying to create dimension and focusing on the movement and the lines drawn. Although snake wine wasn't enough, I decided to further research on Vietnamese culture and the special kinds of animals. And then I chose to look at this freshwater fish called sarprinde, which is called gachep in Vietnamese, and it's like the carp fish, and it is very significant in Vietnamese culture, especially in Vietnamese Lunar New Year, and it is a very important animal. So I decided to start by um, replicating the fish with pen and the use of watercolors. With the use of watercolor, I created many vibrant colors with the fish that juxtapose with the normal green color of the snake. And I really wanted to look and develop from the scale of the fish and differentiate it from the scale of a snake. And in Vietnamese culture, um, the fish is seen as a very delicate and intricate animal, and I think that this would be a better project than snake wine. So then I started experimenting with oil paint because many renowned painting of koi fishes actually use oil paint, but I realized it didn't work because the texture was too thick and I decided to go back to using watercolor. So my second experiment is of the fish being cut and I use a lot of pencil and then I move on to going back to use of watercolor but incorporating chalk to give it more dimension. And in addition, I began to draw the fish on newspaper because I realized it would give more Vietnamese culture and a better texture of the fish and giving it more of a modern society look on it. So for my final piece, I will be incorporating Vietnamese newspaper print with the traditional koi fish. This led to my studio work, so I began by doing the background, which is basically a collage. I got three Vietnamese maps, um, and then I used sandpaper to make the colors and the writing on the map blurry so the viewers can focus on the fish itself. And then next, on a canvas, I placed one map in the center and began covering it with brown coffee water because of the thin paper, it actually crumbled on the canvas, but in the end, it just helps enhance the rough texture that I was going for. So next on magazine paper, which was more suitable for watercolors, I drew the fish with a marker and layer it with vibrant watercolors for the fish to stand out. Then I cut the fish and assemble it into a collage with masking tape, and before gluing it down, I would also use chalk to give the fish shadow. Finally, I would cut out circles from the newspaper and began sticking everything onto my canvas. And when everything is stuck, I would spray paint some section of the studio work to show the industrialization of Vietnam. And I want to show the juxtaposition between nature and river critters with the modern society that Vietnam has become. So for my final piece, it shows the contrast between the cultural carp fishes, and now a different Vietnam, which is more industrialized and developed.